Okay, so next up we'll be working on the ant that will go in the foreground. So, according to my thumbnail anyway. So let's go on the second artboard that we created. And let's do a file place to bring in a JPEG file of an ant. I will provide this to you. This is the one that I want you to download. It's going to end up looking like this. It's an actual photo of an ant. So we'll place this in. We'll click and drag out at a good size. We'll let up when we get it to the size we want it to. Let up on your mouse. So I can actually go into the layers panel. I'm in layer 2 right now, but if I want this image, if I click on it and select it, I can actually move it into layer 1. I just need to unlock layer 1 first, and then I can drag it into layer 1. So now this file turned blue, which the layer color for layer 1 is blue. So, and I can change the opacity on it if I want to, and I can lock that down as well. And then I can get back on layer 2 and work in layer 2 to create this ant. So I'm going to zoom in by Control plus. You can also use the zoom tool here in the tools panel. But let's go here to the ellipse tool. I'm seeing a lot of ellipses when I look at this ant, so I'm just going to start drawing out some shapes to work with. This is just one way of doing it. We can actually get rid of the fill color by swapping it by using this little arrow, and that can fill our fill color into the stroke color. Maybe I'll use a black just for now. I can change the stroke weight over here in the properties panel. I can make it 0.5 so that it's thinner. Using the black arrow tool, I can move this ellipse that I created around. Maybe I want to make it a little bit closer to the size of his head. I can do a Command C, Command V, as in Victor, or I can actually push Option on my keyboard and drag out the same, Option, and then drag out and let up to create a copy of this same ellipse. So I'm kind of seeing some different shapes here with the ant head. This is just one way of doing it. We can kind of move these around, make different shapes as we see fit. So, by creating these ellipses, I can, create basically this ant, a lot of him out of ellipses. So let's select all of these, and I'll show you this shape builder tool, which is right here. So the shape builder tool is really nice when you're working with shapes. So if we click on this, we can actually, as you hover over different elements, you can see that it turns gray, kind of. Let me zoom in a little bit more. And then there's a plus icon. So if I want to combine all of these shapes into one shape, I can click and drag. And that'll create one solid shape for the head. And then maybe I want these shapes to be a solid shape too, so I'll click and drag a line through all of those, and that'll create a new custom shape. This is just you have to have everything selected in order to use the shape builder, so make sure you have all of your shapes selected at the same time, the ones that you want to work with when you're trying to create shapes using the shape builder tool. Okay, and then you can use a combination of things. That's the shape builder tool. It's great for working with shapes. You don't always have to use it with the ellipse or the rectangle or these types of shapes. You can actually use, let's look at the blob brush tool next. So if we double click on the blob brush, we can change the size. I think there's a shortcut command for it too that's really simple, but and then you can change the smoothness of it, which a lot of people like to use it really smooth, but you'll have to experiment and see what size you're looking for. I'm probably going to bring mine down to maybe 5 point. So go ahead and push OK. And we can actually draw using this tool here. So here we go. And if we click on this, we can see that it's a separate thing. And maybe I have some bumps in here I don't like there's an extra, like if we zoom in on this, you can see that this is has different anchor points here. You can change the anchor points if you want, but there's an extra anchor point here that's creating this like indent that I don't like, so maybe I can use the smooth tool. Make sure you have it select your shape selected that you're trying to smooth out, and smooth out that tool, that area there with your smooth tool. Another quick way of doing this would be to use the pen tool and the delete anchor point, and we can just start deleting some of these unnecessary anchor points. Use the white arrow tool to grab the handles on the anchor point and kind of drag those out, see what happens, just to make them a little bit more the shape that we're wanting. So I'll go back to the blob brush tool. Just try to get it as close as you can with your blob brush tool. Even 5 is kind of big. I might actually make it like 3 points. So I double clicked on that, changed the size to 3, push OK, and we'll create another quick little shape here. And one thing you'll notice about the blob brush is that it'll combine with other shapes. So if you're wanting your shapes to be separate, you might want to make sure that it's, when you work with it, that you're not touching the other shape, because now you can see that this is all one shape. It doesn't really matter in this instance. I do have some bumps here that I'm not liking, so I'm going to use my smooth tool, and I'm just going to smooth that out with the smooth tool. So that's looking pretty good. Now it's a good idea when you're doing this to start maybe with like kind of a base color. I'm actually going to move, so I'm going to zoom out by Command minus. You can also use the zoom tool to zoom out, but I'm actually going to move this over. I'm going to grab everything by clicking and dragging. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Clicking and dragging, and then I'm going to move it over here, and then I'm going to do another Command plus just to kind of, so I just really want to move this off to the side for now. And I noticed that this is maybe a little exaggerated, but that's okay. I kind of want to make this a stylized image of the ant. So I might actually try to make this a steeper angle too, because his head is going down at a steeper angle. So we can grab this anchor point. Well, this is the anchor point here, but this is the handle. And so if we grab that, we can actually move it down and make it more of a steep line. So that kind of changed the shape of the head to match what I see here a little bit closer. And I want little jaggedy things here, so I'm going to go back to my blob brush tool, and I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to change the size to maybe 1 point, push return. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to make little teeth in here. And this will combine with the shape that's already present. And this is just kind of a primitive way of doing it, but it works pretty well actually. If you have a Wacom or whatever it's called, Wacom tablet, or an iPad, obviously, I think the iPad Illustrator program works really well. You can actually use a pen for this, and that's pretty handy. But our program's kind of poor, so we just have mice. But you can do a lot with a mouse. I don't even have a mouse. I'm using my trackpad, and it's working pretty good. So one thing we want to maybe consider when we fill in this head is just a good base color. I'd say maybe like a mid-tone, so later we can add highlights and lowlights. So using the eyedropper tool, we can sample from the image itself. So maybe like a good mid-range tone would be just like this red. And the fact that it's turned down in opacity might be affecting my selection with the eyedropper tool. So let's go back here, unlock this, and grab the ant itself, and let's just turn him up all the way just so that we can sample an accurate color from the photo with the eyedropper tool. So let's reselect this shape, go to the eyedropper tool, and then click on this area of the ant to get that mid-tone. Let's click on here. We could keep that black just to stylize the image if we wanted to, but we can also go with maybe like a darker, kind of want darker than that. Actually, I might have liked the black better, even though in the image his teeth aren't that black, but I think I do like the black. Okay, and then we can do the same with this. Maybe we'll use the same red, for the inside of that. And then let's go ahead and add in some lowlights and some highlights to these shapes. So we'll select these with the black arrow tool. We'll do the draw inside, and we'll use the blob brush, and let's sample a low light or shadowy darker color. That's not a very good. Maybe I'll just go from the original color, double click on that, and then just add in black by bringing it closer into the black. And that's a good way to get a color we want. If we want to bring that into our swatches panel, let's go ahead and open that up. It's over here, third one down. So we can actually click and drag this over. And there it is. So go back to the blob brush. We still have that color selected, which is good. And we have a really small size right now. And let's just change it to like 17 or something. And let's just kind of go around the edge and just add in the low light on the shape that we're wanting. Something like, oops, like that maybe. It's hard to get a smooth looking thing, but that's not bad. And then maybe I want to add some around the mouth a little bit. There. And let's select this color again, and let's make it lighter now. And I'm going to make it slightly more orange as well, because this is looking pretty orange to me, this area of highlight that I'm seeing. So maybe we'll just kind of add in, I moved the slider slightly more into the orange, pushed OK, and adjust my size. There is a shortcut command. I'm sure it's super simple, but I rarely use the blob brush tool. I actually don't draw often myself in Illustrator, but it's kind of fun actually. So, you know, just kind of bring in some areas of highlight. This might be a little big for this, but you get the point. I'm just kind of trying to work off the, oops, I don't like that. Trying to work off of the image here just to kind of bring in a few areas of highlight. Okay, so I am going to delete this for now, but we will actually quickly make the eye next after adding in highlights. You can also bring in some pure white into your highlight, like there might be a line here on top of this of highlight. It's a good idea to probably bring in a little bit of white or almost close to white in some areas because this ant is awfully shiny. But I'm not going to do that in this demo video. And I'm actually going to drag out an eye or an ellipse. Let's see. I want it to be on a solid colors because I want to show you how to get a gradient. So here's about the eye shape that I want to go with. I think I want to go with a slightly lighter charcoal-y color with a black, a very dark black stroke. It's going to be kind of something like that. And then I want this to be a gradient actually. So we can go here and click on the gradient panel. We can go to a radial gradient. If we want to change this color, you can double click on that. If you're only seeing grayscale, then come here to this little hamburger menu and go to CMYK, and then you'll get like more color options. But I actually do want to use a black. But actually I want to use kind of a lighter black. So maybe kind of a warmer, lighter black. So I'll use my eyedropper tool to find that. So after completing the eye, that's about as far as I'm wanting you to go with this demo. So basically, you know, you complete your ant body and then, you know, grab the elements of the ant body and group them together to make them a group. And then you could bring them over here into your canvas and create kind of a completed scene that way. This is just one way of doing it, but you can, you know, use a combination of these tools that I've showed you today. The pen tool is a good one to use as well. The pencil tool is also a good one. The smooth tools and the pencil tool are under the shaper tool. So, and then this tool here, the shape builder tool, is a good one as well. So hopefully this is helpful. Go ahead and upload your AI file. It should match what I have here. So talk to you later.